This started with something vanishing. Sometime around January 22, 2026, if you were a fan of the skincare brand Abib or just following Korean beauty trends, you might have gone to their YouTube channel looking for their promotional content with their ambassador, Cha Eun-woo, and you'd find nothing. Well, not nothing. You'd find a message. This video is private. On their Instagram, posts that had proudly announced him as their muse were scrubbed clean, deleted without a trace. No, we're parting ways. No, thank you for your work. Just digital silence. In this industry, that silence is louder than any press release. It's the sound of a brand hitting the emergency eject button, and everyone immediately knew why. Because almost simultaneously, the news outlet Osin published a report that sent a shockwave through the entire Korean entertainment scene. According to their exclusive, the National Tax Service's Seoul regional office had issued a tax reassessment to Cha Eun-woo. The figure was almost incomprehensible: 20 billion Korean won, roughly 13.7 million US dollars. For scale, that's one of the largest tax assessments ever leveled against a single celebrity in the country's history. This wasn't a minor accounting dispute. This was the government alleging a massive structured attempt to evade taxes. The core of the allegation was a now notorious setup, the one-person agency or paper company. Here's what investigators claimed happened. Cha Eun-woo was and is officially under the management of Fantagio, but according to the NTS findings, a separate corporation was established with his mother listed as the head. This corporation then entered into a service agreement with Fantagio. So the financial flow allegedly went like this. A company paying Cha Eun-woo for an endorsement or drama would pay Fantagio. Fantagio would then pay a portion to this mother-run company for management services, and that company would then distribute funds. The effect? Income that should have been taxed as Cha Eun-woo's personal earnings, subject to Korea's progressive tax rate that can hit 45% for the highest bracket, was instead being routed through a corporation. Corporate tax rates are significantly lower, by more than 20 percentage points. The NTS's investigation, led by their Specialized Investigation Division 4, concluded this company was a shell, a facade. They reported its registered address was in a location on Jeju Island not suited for an active entertainment management operation. They acknowledged the company had assets like imported cars and processed expenses, but they found no evidence it provided any real, distinct services that Fantagio wasn't already contractually obligated to perform. It was, in their view, a financial conduit with no substance, a legal entity created for one purpose: to reduce tax liability. This story, though, has roots that go back further than that January day. The audit itself wasn't new. According to subsequent reports, the intensive field investigation by the tax authorities took place in the spring of 2025, and Cha Eun-woo wasn't the only one notified. Fantagio itself had already been through the ringer. Back in August of 2025, the agency was slapped with an 8.2 billion won tax assessment. The reason? Authorities said Fantagio had processed false tax invoices issued by that same company connected to Cha Eun-woo's mother. Fantagio filed an objection, a standard procedure called a pre-assessment review. They lost. That decision was upheld, so the pieces were already falling into place, a domino effect within a closed financial system. The audit of the Star was the next and biggest domino to tip, but then another critical event intervened: Cha Eun-woo's military enlistment. He entered basic training on July 28, 2025. And here's where the public's perception of the story sharply divided from the legal process. Reports emerged that Cha Eun-woo's side had requested the National Tax Service to delay the formal notification of the audit results until after his enlistment was complete. From a procedural standpoint, this might be seen as managing affairs during a period of unavoidable absence. But to the public watching this unfold in real time in January 2026, it looked profoundly different. It looked like evasion of a different kind. The online forums and news comment sections exploded with a very specific, bitter cynicism. Comments poured in saying things like, "By the time he returns from the military, everyone would have forgotten about this. And this is special treatment. Whom is he connected with?" The most biting critique was simple: so he literally ran away to the military. The narrative crystallized in an instant. A rich celebrity using his mandatory service as a shield, a timeout from accountability. The backlash wasn't confined to just the tax issue or the military timing. It bled into everything. Netizens began scrutinizing his other endorsements. They pointed with a kind of furious irony to his ongoing campaign for a major bank. The image was jarring. A star under investigation for a massive financial allegation, still serving as the polished face of a financial institution. It felt like a disconnect the public wasn't willing to accept. People started asking broader questions about fairness. Was this how the system worked for the elite? Could a regular person expect the tax office to delay an audit notice for their convenience? The phrase preferential preferential treatment started trending alongside his name. Now we have to step back and listen to the other side, because Cha Eun-woo's legal team and representatives did not accept the NTS's findings. Not at all. Their argument was one of legitimacy and necessity. They stated that the company in question was not a paper company, but a properly registered cultural and entertainment business. They framed its creation as a defensive move, born out of concern for Cha Eun-woo's career stability. Fantagio had, in recent years, gone through significant internal turmoil and frequent changes in leadership. The one-person company, they argued, was established to allow Cha Eun-woo and his family to have more direct hands-on control and security over his schedules and earnings in an unstable environment. It was about safeguarding his future, not dodging taxes. To fight the assessment, they initiated the formal legal process. They filed a pre-assessment review request challenging the NTS's interpretation and findings. This is a technical, administrative step. If the review board within the NTS sides with the taxpayer, the assessment can be reduced or canceled. If it is rejected, the taxpayer must pay, but can then appeal to the independent tax tribunal and potentially further into the court system. There were even reports that his team was considering skipping the NTS review entirely and taking the case directly to the tax tribunal, a sign of how entrenched their position was. There's another layer to this, a reminder that these investigations are often webs, not straight lines. Some reports suggested Cha Eun-woo may not have been the primary target at all. The initial investigation reportedly focused on the tax affairs of Nam Kung-gon, the chairman of My Entertainment, which owns Fantagio. It was while untangling the complex financial relationships around Nam Kung-gon and his network of companies that investigators allegedly came across the suspicious transactions linked to Cha Eun-woo's mother's company. The scope of the probe expanded, and the idol found himself at the center of a storm he may not have seen coming. This context matters because it paints a picture of a systematic audit uncovering multiple potential issues rather than a singular, targeted hunt. So where does that leave us? In the wake of the headlines and the deleted videos, in a state of protracted uncertainty. Cha Eun-woo is, as of this reporting, still serving his mandatory military duty. The 20 billion won assessment is officially disputed, sitting in the bureaucratic pipeline of a pre-assessment review. Brands are in a holding pattern. Abib's drastic takedown on domestic platforms, while curiously leaving his images up on global accounts, speaks to a crisis management strategy that is cautious, regional, and deeply nervous. The public sentiment is fractured. A portion of his fan base maintains unwavering belief in his innocence, citing the legal principle of innocent until proven guilty and his team's explanations. The wider public, however, views the case through a lens of deep skepticism about celebrity privilege and systemic fairness. The case has become a benchmark, a reference point in the ongoing conversation about wealth, duty, and accountability in Korean society. It's no longer just about Cha Eun-woo. It's about what his case represents. The facts are contested, the outcome is unknown, and the only certainty is that his return to civilian life will not mark an escape from this controversy, but a confrontation with it. The question won't be about his next drama role, but about the final ruling from a tax tribunal. And that's a script with an ending nobody can yet write.